Hello and welcome into the Sporting Jacks Report along with Mauricio Ruiz. I'm Cole Pepper. Coming up, we hear from Jacksonville's most decorated local soccer star and how he's giving back to the game after his playing career. Plus how the USL Super League is making steps forward. But let's start with the U.S. men's national team and the Copa America. Mauricio, we saw the U.S. take on Bolivia to start the tournament on Sunday, and just exactly the way you'd like to see the U.S. get started.
It really couldn't have been a better opponent to build some confidence, to lower the nerves a little bit. Playing at home, the crowd is, have a lot of expectations this year for you. So playing a team against, from South America that is at the bottom of the ranking in South America, really good confidence builder, and to get a goal 3 minutes into the game, really it just sets the game apart.
The early goal scored by Christian Pulisic gave the U.S. the lead. Then just before halftime, Follorin Balogun doubled the U.S. lead. Bolivia wasn't much of a threat all game long, just 3 shots on target for Matt Turner to handle. The U.S. had 7 corners to Bolivia's 1. All in all, just about exactly the way you'd want to start the Copa America group play. Mauricio, looking back at it now with the result, what do you take from the match?
A little sloppy, and I think you can attribute that to nerves once again. The field is a little bit tighter. The U.S., they do try to spread out the team, the field with Weah and Pulisic on that side. So they have to play through central channels a little bit more than they typically would like to. They have to rebuild a lot of the stadiums for the World Cup because they're narrow. Football stadiums are a little bit more narrow. But a good confidence builder. The game towards the end really could have been blown over. Pepe missed a lot of sitters right close. We're still missing that. Number 9. It's great that Balogun scored a goal to kind of get his confidence back up. He hasn't scored in a while. But a little sloppy performance, but I think the team will take it. Turner wasn't challenged. As you mentioned, 1 corner, really almost no saves. So a good performance. You would have hoped for a better performance against that opponent, but maybe kind of still keeps you humble and hungry.
Well, they'll have a little more to do going forward for sure. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Also, want to give you some scenes for what we saw with fans all around the country watching the U.S. men's national team, including at our watch party at Grace Note Brewing. Dozens of fans watched the U.S.-Bolivia match with us. We had a few prizes to give away and a lot of soccer to discuss as well. A lot of folks had a great time enjoying that, and with an opportunity to continue to do so as the tournament rolls on. We invite you to join us for our next Copa America watch parties. We'll be at Grace Note Brewing under the Roosevelt Bridge between Ortega and Avondale for the U.S. against Panama tomorrow night, and the U.S. against Uruguay on Monday, July the 1st. They are free to attend, but please RSVP at sportingjacks.com. All season ticket depositors get buy one, get one free beer. As part of the Stateside Cup match on July the 27th in Jacksonville, former Wolves and West Ham players and coaches will be giving a youth clinic for boys and girls before the Premier League's teams meet at Everbank Stadium. Here are the details for the youth clinic. As mentioned, boys and girls aged 4 to 18, all playing levels and experiences are welcome. The clinic takes place at the Flex Field. You'll have Florida Elite coaches as well. Mauricio, you'll be there to make sure it all goes off without a hitch. Registration is $65 and includes a ticket to the game. And again, that clinic runs from 5 until 6 p.m. Go to sportingjacks.com for more information. But Mauricio, this is going to be a great day for young soccer players to experience some great coaching and then see a great match.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you can connect youth development and now they can actually go over to the stadium and see two Premier League teams playing, I think that's a fantastic experience.
All right, we want to show you something. That is Sporting Jacks co-founder Tony Allegretti, and that is U.S. star Tyler Adams. They were together in Detroit this week as part of an ongoing effort by U.S. Soccer to install mini pitches in neighborhoods that typically don't have as much access to soccer. It's a big vision leading up to the 2026 World Cup. Here's what Tony had to say about it on this week's installment of the Sporting Pod.
The real purpose for me to go up during this weekend was to, they're doing an installation of these mini pitches. There's a commitment by the U.S. Soccer Foundation to put 1,000 mini pitches in, mostly in areas that don't have soccer, have relatively little access to soccer. A very good program. They're at 700 plus already, so they're going to hit their mark. The deadline's 2026 for the World Cup. I really wanted to talk to the U.S. Foundation, but also Black Star, which is a division of 4 soccer, which is heavily a part of this because we're in neighborhoods that are distressed, that again a high amount of interest just not the access. The game's not there and the facilities aren't there. So that's what these mini pitches really help do, is bridge that gap. Just so happened to be that Tyler Adams was there, and that was amazing. In his remarks to the kids, and the kids were enwrapped. I mean, like you would be if you were a soccer kid. And he said, and I'll paraphrase a little bit here, he's like, it's great to be a great soccer player. It's great to be able to do what you love and the game that you love. He's like, but the most important thing in life is to be a good person. And it was like, okay, it was awesome, and the kids were listening. I was listening. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. He's a solid leader. He's an amazing person.
All right, the praise for Tyler Adams, well deserved aside, these mini pitches. It seems like a simple concept. Give communities a chance to play somewhere, and they don't always have that opportunity, Mauricio, to have even a little mini pitch like this. I think it's a great thing for the development of the game in our country.
It really is. And if you look at the images we just saw, right behind it, there were 3 basketball courts back to back. This ultimately is the same space of basketball courts where kids do typically play at a low cost. And you go in South America and even in Europe, those small spaces, you see kids playing all the time. And here in the U.S., it's like soccer's only an 11v11 game. It's only on grass. It's only big. If we can kind of reduce the size, reduce the cost, and make it more accessible with our population, we're not just talking about one Tyler Adams or one Pulisic. We're talking about generations of them, which is what happens in a lot of countries of this size.
Yeah, you see that, and you can just see where the next level of talent is going to be developed there at the grassroots level. It is time now for the Island Wing Company Game of the Week, and this week Miami hosted Loudoun United in a match that seemed destined for a Loudoun win. This is why you can never be completely sure about anything in soccer. To Miami we go. Loudoun United came in unbeaten in the last 4. Miami had not won or tied since April 27th, but Miami got off to the hot start. 11th minute, Alejandro Mitrano on the break with a beautiful through ball to Frank Lopez, who really worked hard for this one. 1-0 Miami.
Nothing too fancy, Cole. Just a great footwork. His 1v1 with the defender. Decisiveness. You see Frank Lopez here. He just squares him up, gets him turned around, and what a bullet to beat Farrell on the near post.
It didn't have much room to spare there on that near post, as you can see here. Look at the angle. Very impressive. 26th minute, Miami's on the run again. They show some patience here. Nice short passing, and then watch a turn by Michael Lawrence right here. Oh, quick turn, and he hooks it in, and Miami's up 2-0.
Well, what a great start for Miami at home. A very good team goal. You can see a lot of build up there, a lot of penetration, and sneaking from Lawrence to spin and hit a near post. I think Farrell's is shifting his way to block the back post. You see here on the replay, he's starting to shift and just gets him right on the near post and gets him frozen.
All right, second half now, Miami up 2-0, but Loudoun is about to get things rolling. 51st minute off a Loudoun corner. It would fall to Abdel Latif Abukora with this blast, and Loudoun is right back in it.
And these are one of those goals that the coach on the sideline saying, no, settle it, you're not going to hit this, and then he does it. 1 in a million. Tons of traffic for Rodriguez to have to deal with, maybe even a little slight deflection.
And it didn't take long for Loudoun to threaten again. Just 2 minutes later, some good patience here for Loudoun. Keegan Tingy finds Riley Bedois with a header, and we're level at 2.
And Cole, this is a really difficult header and technique to get some power and lift on that. The service was slightly behind him, as you can see here, but he did it really well to get past the goalkeeper, which really had no chance at the height of the ball.
All right, final 10 minutes now of the game in regulation time. Pivotal moment of the match off a Loudoun corner. Wesley Leggett pushed by Nicholas Cardona of Miami. It's a foul in the penalty area. That's a PK. Zach Ryan steps up, and what a save by Felipe Rodriguez for Miami.
Boy, and Ryan really did everything right here. He put it high, he put it firm on the corner, but just an unbelievable save from Rodriguez.
And the match would end 2-2. The first point earned by Miami in nearly 2 months. All right, so let's take a look at some of the other scores from around the league. A couple of these jump right out at me. Birmingham with a 3-0 is a pretty impressive number there. But also note Indy 11, a 1-0 loser. That's the first time Indy has lost. They'd had won 8 straight games to that point. And then you see Rhode Island putting up a 5 spot in a victory over Lou City. That certainly gets your attention.
Yeah, that's probably the most impressive and surprising result here. And it was in Louisville, the score. Rhode Island, really not a team that gets a lot of goals this year, but the floodgates were open. But as you mentioned, San Antonio just really struggling this year. They're the second bottom of the league. Birmingham, a solid team, but San Antonio just underperforming a little bit at a time.
All right, let's take a look at the standings, starting with the Western Conference, brought to you by Got Sport. And New Mexico United right on top with Sacramento Republic hanging there just a few points back, but with New Mexico United having a game in hand on Sacramento and 3 games in hand on Oakland and Monterey, New Mexico United is in great position.
They really are in good position, even Sacramento with only 15 games compared to Oakland and Monterey at 17. Those top 2, if they continue to take care of business, they're going to separate themselves. And just a really big mix. Look at the right from 5 to 9, everyone within 2 to 3 points of each other.
It's going to be very tight once we get to the playoff chase. This is a little bit under halfway point of the season right now for most of these teams. In the East, things looking fairly familiar here, with Lou City and Indy both losing. Charleston right there, 5 points back. Louisville City's really in control. We'll see what happens after the 5-2 loss to Rhode Island, though. That could shake some confidence.
Yeah, it really could. And, looking at the battery, too, they started hot. I think they went 12 unbeaten to start the season. Now they have 5 winless. They draw this past weekend. Hopefully, get a little bit of confidence. Just enough with Indy losing, not to lose that spot of second place.
Again, remember, the top 8 in each conference makes the postseason, so that's going to be something to watch as we get closer to the end of the campaign. Remember, you can become a member of Sporting Jacks. It's absolutely free. Just go to sportingjacks.com. Sign up, you can get discounts on club merchandise, invitations to VIP events, entries into contests for prizes and experiences, and you'll receive the Sporting Jacks monthly email newsletter. You can put your deposit down for season tickets as well for the Sporting Jacks men's and women's teams and receive an exclusive Sporting Jacks founding member pin. Just go to sportingjacks.com to become a member. When we come back, we'll hear from Becky Burleigh, her take on the U.S. men's national team, and more. That's straight ahead as we continue on right here on the Sporting Jacks Report. National broadcasts of USL Championship matches continue tonight as Detroit City hosts Birmingham Legion at 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. All USL Championship matches can be seen on ESPN Plus or CBS's Golazo Network. And once the USL Super League begins, you'll be able to watch all of the women's matches streamed on Peacock. All right, let's welcome in Becky Burleigh, who joins us from the road now. Becky, let's talk a little bit about the match that took place where you are right now in Dallas, the matchup between the United States and Bolivia. Your thoughts on the performance for the U.S. men's national team?
Hey, I'm sure that there's ways that we could look at that game and think about a lot of improvements, and they're there. And as a coach, that's your job. But I also think as a fan, I look at it as like, hey, let's take those 3 points and a couple of goals scored and move on to the next.
Yep, Becky, in Panama, a little more of a friendly opponent. We play them often in the qualifiers. What do you think the U.S. has to do in order to better prepare for Panama on Thursday?
Well, there's no doubt that the clinical finishing is going to have to be there because you just don't get that kind of opportunity in international matches all the time. And that was something that was a little lacking in this game, and I'm sure will be addressed before the next one.
One guy who has been finishing is Christian Pulisic. He has really performed the past couple of games with the United States. Who else do you want to see step up in that regard?
I thought it was a quiet match for Gio Reyna. I think that Pepe's got to score when he's got his chances. That's probably something that there's going to be talked about. But, in the end, as a coach, one of the things you do is you really pay attention to the process because everybody around you is paying attention to the outcomes. And so I trust Greg Berhalter to be really looking closely at the things that they need to tweak, but then also being ready to turn the page and have a 0-0 mentality going into the next one.
Do you like how the schedule is being set up? It seems that we're kind of graduating to better opponents, in a knockout eventually when you get through that. What do you think about the opponents and the way that they've lined up so far?
I do think, especially in a tournament situation, it's kind of nice to get your feet wet with somebody where you feel a little comfortable, and certainly scoring 3 minutes in, put some of those nerves at ease. And then to step up into the opponents, and then ultimately in your third group game to be a very, very challenging opponent, it kind of gives you a chance to work your way into the tournament.
Let's turn our attention to the USL Super League. This week, Carolina Ascent signed a 14-year-old, Stella Spitzer, to an academy contract. What are you expecting the average age for the pro debuts to be in the Super League in year one?
You know, I think that situation is a little bit of an anomaly, but I don't think it's going to be the only one. I think we're seeing that across the world, really, where these younger players are being signed at earlier ages. And I think it's just sort of a bet on the future. I think that when we see the actual players on the team and on the field, when we actually start seeing games in August, I think we'll see a lot of post-collegiate players, so, you know, mid-20s. But I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those youngsters making their first appearances as the league season goes on.
It's going to be something to watch for sure, part of that pathway to the pros we've talked about. Becky, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next week. All right, it's not too early to become a season ticket member of Sporting Jacks. Just go to sportingjacks.com and put your deposits down. $25 reserves your space for the men's or women's team, and if you want to reserve both, it's just $40. Just go to sportingjacks.com to save your seat for pro soccer in Jacksonville. Coming up, our youth soccer spotlight as we look ahead to one of the guys with the most decorated resume in pro soccer to come from Jacksonville and the impact he's making on the game post-career. Tony Taylor. We take a closer look when we come back right here on the Sporting Jacks Report. I can't wait till the first kit is unveiled. Until then, you can get your own Sporting Jacks official merchandise, from t-shirts and hats to sweatshirts and scarves. You can find Sporting Jacks official merchandise at sportingjacks.com, at our official team store on Phillips Highway, and at We Got Soccer. Time now for our youth soccer spotlight presented by the Bearded Pig. And this week we turn the spotlight to a soccer academy being run by a local player who has played in MLS as well as overseas and has represented Panama on the national team, Tony Taylor. And you can make the case that he has had the best career of any men's soccer player to come out of Jacksonville. And after his career ended, he decided to give back. It all started during the pandemic when the family of a youth soccer player realized that Taylor lived in their neighborhood. They asked him to train the youngster one-on-one. From there, Taylor expanded his training, and 4 years ago he launched TT7. Tony Taylor and his preferred number 7. Expanding his coaching to include summer camps. There are somewhere between 50 and 75 campers per session, from 4 years old up to teenagers. He also coaches high school, college, and aspiring professionals. Taylor said that being able to make an impact with so many kids has been very rewarding for him personally.
So I always prayed, how's the way I can use my talent and give back to youth. And, you know, when COVID hit, you know, it started from there with the academy. I had formed it before, and then started one-on-one training, and I felt a passion and love for it. And, you know, I saw how I could help kids improve and grow, and then give them belief and help them develop, you know. So it's been a very great journey for me.
He has made a great mental impact, especially with my confidence on the ball, especially going into tough 1v1s, and he's helped me develop my technical skills in the game.
A lot, like, you're surrounded by your friends, and like even if it's your first time, you can still like make friends because everybody here is so accepting, and it's just like it's an overall really good environment to be around because you don't only get better, but you also have a lot of fun.
So my dad actually played professionally. He used to coach me, but he had a surgery, so I came here, and it's actually like it's really good because I know I've always went to other camps, but they didn't give me like the training I wanted to, and I realized I wasn't improving. And we actually found this camp by accident one day because we always used to train at a field that Tony trains at, so it's actually really nice.
Like the cone drills, I really wasn't that good, but then with Tony we would always like develop our foot skills.
It has made a tremendous impact on how it, like, not just my skills on the field, but like my confidence mentally, like basically everything. He's been a great role model to me, and I can always look up to him.
Well, I'm learning more about soccer every day at TT7 summer camp, and I love all the coaches, and they're really nice, and all my teammates, and everyone builds on each other and helps each other get better, and I try to make everybody better every day too.
What is the best part of playing soccer?
Scoring.
There you go. I like it. By the way, I just want to point out there with that 4-year-old camper, everybody was saying, I was doing interviews out there, everybody said, talk to Jonathan, talk to Jonathan. You can see the camaraderie that Tony has developed out there. You've known Tony for quite a while. He's doing a great job.
I have, and he's a great professional. He's an even better person for this community, and I think he has built a bit of a community around what he's done. But one thing that he does well is that he supplements what other clubs and larger clubs are doing. You know, you get to train 2-3 times a week with your club, but you don't get enough touches on the ball. And Tony, if you know as a player, is a very technical player, rapid, quick, but also very technical. So that's a passion of him to make sure that the kids are learning the technical skills required at the highest level.
And there are some more sessions still to come for TT7 this summer. The Sporting Jack Soccer Hour every Monday at 6 on 1010XL. We'll hear from Tony Taylor. We'll also hear from Mauricio, Becky Burleigh, and more. Be sure to join us 10:10 a.m. with the Sporting Jacks Soccer Hour. Stick around. There's more of the Sporting Jacks Report coming up straight ahead. You can watch the Sporting Jacks Report every Wednesday at noon on ABC 25 with re-airing Saturdays on ABC 25 and always on demand at First Coast News Plus. This has been such a busy show, Mauricio. We haven't even gotten into the Euros that have been amazing to watch. There has been so much soccer this summer. It just keeps coming.
Yeah, and really in the time zones, which they're happening kind of midday for Euros and then even in afternoon for Copa America, it's a bit of a preview of what's going to happen in the next couple of years. You almost have 2 mini World Cups happening at the same time, so it's really exciting. And then you have the Olympics coming in at the end of the summer as well. Boy,
there's so much soccer to come. There's no doubt about us. Hey, stay connected with Sporting Jacks via social media. You can find us on most of the social media platforms at Sporting_Jacks. We have a lot more to come as the summer of soccer continues. For Mauricio Ruiz and for Becky Burleigh, thanks so much for watching the Sporting Jacks Report.